Thank you for sticking around, and welcome back for our third set of the day. We flip-flopped on you again. I'm still here, but next to me for set number
Ta-da!
3 is Rain Day. Rain Day's record deal.
Rain Day's record deal palooza.
Really just belting it out there in the booth, and I got chills. You
got chills.
Literal chills.
Yeah, I've been known to give crowd chills every now and then. Yeah.
You did a great job of it.
Thanks.
But looking into this matchup, Lowkey Scheming versus Big Money. Obviously, again, previously the has-beens, now Big Money Esports. Teams that are a bit closer in the standings than we saw last game. So you imagine this one will be a little bit closer as far as how it goes. Lowkey Scheming, looking at them first. They have the guys you can kind of look at. You know, they haven't put it all together just yet, but they have the guys like Business. You have Cop. You have people who can really make a difference in these games.
Yeah, and you know, at this point in time too, I like to just talk about the fact that a lot of these guys are newer, especially for broadcast.
Right.
And you know, a lot of these guys, actually 4 out of the 6 people that are on this roster, including their sub, Dragon, is actually a rookie to the scene. They've been grinding for quite a while, and we talked about Ralkion as well. You know, he's wanted to move somewhere to play DPS, right? And that's why he's kind of on here in this roster. So hopefully that gives him the kind of maneuverability that he's hoped for, the freedom to be the type of player that he wants to be and impact this game the right way, because these teams both need wins. And
I think that's a good thing to look at, is that they're still putting it together. They realize now it's like, okay, we haven't gotten off to the best start, but we're just looking for something that works. And I think they maybe in a way almost have like a little more freedom. They're like, all right, this hasn't worked out. Let's throw a little something different at them. Maybe we'll give them some space to potentially do better today.
Yeah, and in our second team too, their competitors has-beens, and now they are Big Money. So at this point, changing the name, maybe they'll change, you know, the results, keep getting those wins, keep making sure that they rise to the top of this league. Again, a lot of rookies as well. You know, 3 out of the 5 players are rookies in this one. We've had some members who are, you know, longtime players, not really made much out of anything yet. You look at Galaxy as well. He's a blaster. He's been grinding into something that, you know, he's a guy that's familiar for us. We watch Galaxy a lot. We know who he is. He's been in the console series for quite a while now, in the console league. So they have players who have really put in the effort, but it's yet to culminate into something that, you know, when you look at Cyclone GG and the way that they have these veterans, right? So we're hoping to see a tight game today with 2 teams more neck and neck than we had previously just witnessed.
I think what's important for both teams here, again, not having gotten off to the best start, is somebody on the roster needing to kind of solidify themselves as like the guy who will, in a way, be the captain, kind of say, all right, here's what we're going to do this game. Let's put it together. Let's do, you know, X, Y, and Z. Somebody needs to just step up and say, all right, let's chill out. We're all good. We're going to win a map here. Big Money finding a win over Lowkey Scheming already in this split. So looking to replicate that again here today. But I think that's really a big difference maker. And you mentioned the veterans on a lineup like Cyclone. And those are guys who have already experienced so much of this stuff. So some of the guys on either roster need to say, all right, you know, I know this is potentially new for a lot of us. Yeah. But here's kind of the way you look at it. Here's the way you do this and this and this. And I think that's kind of the important thing to look at.
It's not always easy.
No, it's certainly not.
And it's really easy to think that, oh, well, we just do this and we'll get the win. Or we just add this guy, things work out. But it's hard. It's very, very hard to be consistent in a league that has all of these ups and downs, all of these roster swaps, all of these identity swaps. I don't blame people for not being successful or as successful as they want to be or know they can be, because the truth is a lot of these guys realize their potential, but there's so many little factors that mean that it doesn't get realized. You know, at the end of the day, it just doesn't actually come to fruition. So at this point in time, drafting is huge for teams like this and these dynamics.
I agree.
Getting the edge in the draft can be the difference between winning these sets, because if you can just kind of outthink the team in Paladins, you can almost set yourself up to 60-40 win that game if all things go according to plan.
Talus is going to be a way to throw an interesting wrench into the mix. The Genos going over to Lowkey, so that's a champion we've seen pretty much in every game today. You imagine it's going to continue to be contested, the Tyro as well. So Victor Genos is a very strong starting stack here for Lowkey Scheming. Yeah. But now Big Money has the opportunity to answer back, maybe going the Tyra? They have the Talus.
I mean,
I don't know if she has
there's
the same
there's,
hit, right?
There's Zanara, there's every front line, in the world right now available for these guys. And yes, you do have the Tyra, but they're going to go for the Barrack. Barrack has really risen quite high in this meta, and he's one to not be trifled with. I like that they go for him here. So they get their front line out of the way. They got the Aggressor and the Makoa. They've got the Barrack who's going to stay on that point. They give up the Kananara if that's something that they do want on the side of Lowkey, but they still need that other DPS flex. And there's a lot of room to counter out with the last pick from Big Money Esports.
They just can't stay away from
curious how they're going to go for this.
Fernando it is. I like the initial 4 here from Lowkey scheming. Big Money have started off very well as well. But I think the Khan, the Victor, and the Genos is kind of a really good 1-2-3. Fernando fills that I just need to be here and need to be tanky type role.
Yeah.
On the opposite side, Leon and Grover, I think Big Money have rounded themselves out a pretty decent draft as well.
I think so too. I think the Angry Leprechaun agrees as well. In their
Come here,
hit their logo. He has two.
This is
giant
definitely
bags
going to work out
has
for
two
me.
big old bags of money on either side.
I mean, I love it. He's just very committed to the bags of money, and he's got the pipe still, actively smoking the pipe while he's staring through his eyebrows.
That's
with
very
bags of
big money of him.
I mean,
That's
there's not a
money.
lot of agility possible. He's not climbing anything. Hopefully he can run fast.
You'd hope so. But the Bomb King, Nick hates playing against Bomb King Genos, potentially for good reason. Not potentially, definitely for good reason.
For very good
because
reason.
He hits pretty hard.
It will be a dangerous lineup. Both sides have decent moments. We'll see how it turns out in this game.
Game 1 about to get underway. Both teams looking to start some momentum for him here in the Console League. But to take us away on Frog Isle, let's send it down to Nick and Gore.
Where it all came to an end. It's where it all will begin again. We are in a simulation. Oh my god.
That was way more profound than we're going to Frog Isle again.
Well, here we are. How do you feel about these compositions on Frog Isle, Goremaster?
We've all done that dance enough.
I'm feeling good about him, though. I like Bomb King. Bomb King makes me smiley face.
I like Bomb King. I think they should have gone, well,
Kind of like that face that you see on your screen. That's how Bomb King makes me
big
feel.
smiley. Ooh. Happy boy. Don't get stunned, ding dong. Hey, you did it. You got stunned, ding dong. Kev Falcon there. Will be first blooded on the Talus. First time we're seeing it today, too. I was expecting more.
I'm actually curious. I don't know what to expect out of this. Actually, I'm surprised to see Big Money Esports push back at this point because I think they are the team that, out of the two of them, has shown a lot more strength against the top two out of Heating Up and Invictus, but they haven't quite solidified themselves as a team so far.
Ooh.
That is the kind of kill you need to be able to make a difference, and that's going to open up the door. Talus has been banned out for a lot of today, and there's a good reason why.
As soon as the shield drops down, I'm looking for a hook to land here onto Fernando. BK waiting. And, okay, never mind. Whatever.
I don't need your dirty hook.
Who needs to hook? Wow, that actually connected on a Victor. Somehow missed Lowkey on. Victor's going to die all the same. Another overcharge comes through. Scooped up by the young Khan. No rune of travel to get himself out of this one. And the front lines are nowhere near ready to touch this point for Lowkey scheming. So it will go the way of Big Money Esports there. Is that a little jolt action? I do believe it is. Ralkion blasting not one, but two people up and away. It's only Jolt 3, too. What does Jolt 5 look like?
Man, Jolt 5, let me tell you, it's fun.
Boy, I'll tell you what.
When you can knock people off the edge of the map, it is an incredible, incredible feat as Bomb King. But 45% increase knockback is pretty big for a Poppy Bomb, considering most of the time I don't think I see any Bomb King really use it aggressively. So honestly, running Jolt at level 3 is impressive to me.
I think I still would have liked to have seen Tyra with this composition, though. I think with how much Kev Falcon is kind of running away with this game, and frankly, MBK doing a good job staying aggressive as well. And now you're gonna hook that Khan. Now you're gonna hook him when he's CC immune in his ultimate. Come on, bro. Come on, bro.
Come on, bruh. Not going to be working too well. Ralkion going to be able to get a little bit of a kill, though. And that's actually, I think, the big conversation the desk set up, right? You have a Bomb King, you have the Luminary behind him to deal more damage than any Bomb King really should. And yet, so far, it's been kind of a quiet game out of him. No big, crazy plays just yet.
Very, very nicely timed Ancient Rage there to stay safe, y'all, from that stun. Now MBK can move in once again. Talus, though, he's been kind of the story. And you're right, Bomb King hasn't exactly popped off yet. Just needs a small little opportunity to get into the back line. A lot of healing coming out of Grover, though, in the early game. A lot of people clumped up. Tough to find an isolated target to push down, but that's no excuse for Bomb King. He's the AoE boy, and he should be able to kind of crack this nut on open. Once items come online, that might be a little bit easier for him. Once that damage starts to stick a little bit more. And Talus is a hard character to commit to, because if he's diving you, there's a chance that he's just going to just blink out and heal back up anyway.
It's probably the most awkward fight against a flank you'll have, like maybe outside of an Eevee, because even with Eevee, like she's so easy to kill, so fast to kill, that the teleporting, being able to blink back or go into an ice block doesn't really cause too much trouble. But it's just because Talus really does get that reset of health that it's just like, now he's laying down his route of travel. The minute he gets low, he can just pop right back out of there and stay alive for another day.
Indeed he can. Hook is ready to go. This Khan just barely staying alive. One shot from Makoa will change that story, though. But he was the only one contesting the payload, so Lowkey Scheming will get the defense. The closest game we've seen so far today, potentially shaping up here on Frog Isle. Cop 48,000 damage, 3-1. Kind of out in front for a team that is otherwise somewhat struggling. Raukian being relatively efficient as well, 4-3 with only 25k on the board means he's either stealing those kills or he's just committing and getting them.
The 25k damage, I'm saying he's stealing those kills. I'm looking at the Victor at 3-1-3, almost doubling the damage the Bomb King has.
Too.
Yeah, it's definitely picking up some of the last hits here instead of maybe having the full effect. But he has a King Bomb. Now he has a Wrecker 1 and a Cauterize 2. So he's going to be able to have a lot more. You were mentioning, as long as the items come online, once they start getting online, he'll be able to have a huge impact. I expect this is going to be the round where his name, well, it should come up more often.
And probably not going to get stunned out by the Grumpy Bomb this time around. Shots landing onto Raukian, opening the door for Kev Falcon to get in here, but he has chosen to prioritize the Khan and gets a decent amount of damage onto him, but won't find the frag. Ooh.
Poppy Bomb.
Just that simple.
Real good. Real easy, real clean. Until it stops being that. Galaxy going to be able to get the kill. Although I think Kev Falcon, again, a lot of credit for his flank, a lot of credit for his distraction. And unfortunately, that just seems to be the way it goes. You get two actually pretty big kills early on from Lowkey Scheming, but they just don't have control of the objective.
I mean, that's good damage right there. Cop throws 2 grenades over, gets his barrage charge, starts jumping the fence and letting the shells fly. And he basically wins that fight for his team. Big Money Esports thought that one was over, but it's a very different story once Victor gets rolling against a clump that he can punish, right? That's why we talk about Victor, frankly, being a pretty good, guy that can punish those clumping stacks. The grenade resets, very, very strong. What a beast.
Setting it up, 87 to 60%. And, I mean, that barrage was all they needed. They still have the King Bomb. They still have an Immortal. They still have a through time and space. They still have the tools in their toolbox. The question is, will they pull them out? There's the Immortal. King Bomb did, I think, get channeled towards the end. Didn't find what they wanted. Raukian, again, really quiet round.
So much shield tread coming out here. Talus already with a Wrecker 2 online. Leon, the Leitenman. I'm going to start calling it that. The Leitenman to the back. The Leitenman to the back line. Doesn't find the kill, doesn't even find the hit, but Big Money Esports do manage to get their feet back under them after Victor tried to pull the rug. The second payload will go their way. The offense will commence as Big Money try and get this one through after a relatively unceremonious failed attempt last round.
That shield virtually non-existent for the Makoa, but this is the big issue so far I'm seeing with Lowkey Scheming. And this is a similar issue that we see with teams, specifically in their kind of strand, either when you have people joining, swapping roles, whatever, have it be from week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, as you move forward. And it's just that they don't feel like they're too confident in their ability to get aggressive. And when they do get aggressive, they get awkwardly aggressive, and they end up putting themselves in some weird spots and kind of ceding the ground. That's what happened during that last point fight, where it's just like, cool, you got this awesome Victor barrage come down, find some kills, create a lot of space, and then you moved in and died.
Yeah. Can be tough for sure to make sure. Like, I mean, that was such a standout play, right? If it takes, miracles, standout plays, big moments, and highlight reel moments, to be honest, to get you in the conversation, then you're in a rough spot for sure. You need to just have consistently better team fights, consistently win, and take your enemies down if you want to have a real shot at taking out the big money boys here who have drafted themselves a pretty comfortable composition. I actually kind of want to take a peek at the healing charts because I feel like Rover's done a pretty good job at staying in range of multiple people here to stay on top of the sustain. People aren't really running out of healing, running out of time. People are just getting blown up or not dying.
And, I mean, he's in a perfect spot, like getting aggressive even with it. The Whirlwind's going to come through. The shots from Victor are going to try to connect, try to do enough, but it's not going to be enough damage to eat through that Whirlwind. Now Bomb King in the boxing match actually wins that.
Wow. I cannot believe he won that. I don't believe it. Kev Falcon came around the corner at full HP, but when that Luminary Bomb King starts swinging for 1,000 apiece, that's just 2 quick taps on a Talus, and he gone.
He gone. Unfortunately there, it doesn't last forever, and the pressure's on. Bomb King's dead, and big money. It's not closing in on the throat of Lowkey scheming, but they're definitely putting themselves ahead. Those are the kills again. It's these small moments where they finally come through, they make that big play that's making the difference.
Yep, grenade coming out as well. Pressure continuing from the high ground here, and if Cop doesn't die in the next second, that type of pressure is going to lead to a defense and eventual team fight victory when he is shooting the fish in the barrel and nobody has a word to say about it. 10-2 for Cop. 1 death per round so far is his allotment. 17 streak for the Genos, so no real pressure there. That might be a good place to start. When you don't have Cauterize online, you saw the reason that Talus lost that little 1v1 duel with Victor there at the end. Because Victor was getting healed, and Talus didn't have enough Cauterize. It's that simple. So maybe true powering and taking out this Genos could be a good way to start this fight off.
Coming in, though, 23% on the true power, so not going to have anywhere near the ultimate that they need, especially coming into the fact that there's a King Bomb through time and space. Another barrage, and coming up very, very soon will be the overpower to just throw someone off the map, and that's going to make it very easy for Lowkey scheming, I think, to find themselves a leg up as long as they're willing to use it. Ralkion didn't quite get the King Bomb he wanted last round, so this is where it will make the biggest difference.
2-2 now on the board. Kev Falcon first to fall here. Ralkion moves in and gets the critical kill. That's the difference this time around. Lowkey scheming are setting the pace. The jolt is good as well. Oh, maybe not, actually. Oh, you guys, landed on the rocks in the slow and painful death. I wasn't sure if he made it onto where Ralkion is currently, just kind of over one railing onto the other. But yeah, Frog Out can be that way. Sometimes you land on those rocks and just slowly, like Mufasa on Pride Rock, slowly kind of clawing your way, falling.
Long live
What a scene.
Then he falls down to his death forever.
Yikers.
Yikers. Feels bad, man, for Simba.
But not in Paladins, because you respawn after 8 seconds.
He comes back in, and now he's able to hit those hooks like nobody's business. But no one's hitting the target that I think is the biggest one. Genos is on a 21 streak right now, and he is going to continue having a big issue. Now make that 22 with that through time and space. He's going to continue causing issues for Big Bunny Esports unless they find a way to get back to him.
Yeah, and right now, nobody has kind of cracked that code. 2 minutes on the clock. Ralkion dueling out with Talus, but isn't able to find a way home. Again, the big difference this time around, that Bomb King kind of got up in the face of Talus, got first blood, and finally took the fight to them, got past the half-court marker on this map and wasn't constantly just being forced back, which is interesting. Talus definitely kind of comes online, and his damage is so scary. And that's part of why it's been a bit of a battle between him and Luminary Bomb King, right? He is going to have competitive DPS for the most part. This poor Makoa just cannot stay on the map. I think it might be maybe time to invest in a resilience.
A little bit of resilience, maybe just some iron boots, something that will keep you a little bit like heavier. Although I'd say Ancient Turtle typically means heavy. Nothing that's going to keep keeping him. And he actually has resilience too as of now, so going to be trying to do his best to live through some of that. But I mean, that one was an overpower. Now, Jolt should be doing a little less to him, might not throw him off the map as much, or at least give him a little more time to find that dash back on. Because he's got to play
where he's playing. I do understand it. Like, you kind of just got to hold those L's sometimes until you get resilience online. But he does, I believe NBK is playing the map correctly. As Makoa looking for a cheeky little shot to the backline here. Ralkion super low, and Genos struggling to juice him back up to full HP. We're going to see that shot actually find its way home. NBK does get the job done on Ralkey on 38 on the clock. Ultimate's available for both squads, but with the loss of the King, Lowkey scheming, elect to fall back for the time being.
This is the point where I honestly just started looking at charging up the last big ult that you could have for next round, which I'm mainly looking at this barrage coming online because that's been making such huge plays for them when they find themselves at a deficit. Lowkey Esports have been able to throw that, or Lowkey Scheming, sorry, have been able to throw that there and keep themselves in this game. You're not going to get the overpowered back, but you're going to be able to go, and they're actually going to hit the gas pedal using this King Bomb.
Going for the throw here. They're going to get the kill onto the Bomb King, as well as Barrick going down, so the Dome Shield will drop here, but Talus trying to find his way in. Doesn't have the cooldowns. Might want to just like to pop the Rune of Travel here, get both of his cooldowns back. That's the way the talent works. Now he can run and he can gun. Big heal from Geppetto as well, who's picked up 2 kills. So the support for Big Money Esports, keeping them in the conversation.
And I'm going to say maybe, unfortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, I mean, Dome Shield being used, not having a lot of ults on the side of Big Money Esports just in general.
Yeah, they do have Ancient
Lowkey
Rage.
Scheming threw out quite a few at the end, but again, they kept the barrage, which I think is the one that's been making the big difference. The 11-3-11 Victor, Cop has been creating the space for them, like on the point fights. It doesn't matter whether or not the push comes through, whether you get the defense, as long as he's having that impact every time it comes to these point fights, it just makes it easy.
I didn't even realize he laid a trap on the Rune of Travel there, Ralkion, with a cheeky first blood. Kind of getting the better in Kev Falcon in a couple of these engagements at this point. 11-11 though overall versus Kev Falcon's 12-8 as the war continues here. The aggro front line. I mean, this is a dream, right? You got Khan in front of a Luminary Bomb King. You got to be able to win these fights. Resilience starting to do its job now as Makoa is just not being tossed around, but he Shell Shields underneath. And then Shell spins into it through time and space. Questionable, very, very headstrong team fight coming out here. And he will still get knocked off the map. Ralkion is just continuing to go at this Makoa in a way that he cannot figure out how to deal with.
And not only is he sliding down the rock to a slow, painful death, but the ledge was right there. Like, he's like, if I was just 1 inch further forward, this would never have happened to me. And it's the unfortunate slow demise. But Respawn comes back through. And throughout all that, Lowkey Scheming only managed to get up to 50%, so there's still plenty of opportunity to get back into this fight.
We'll have to see, though. Ultimate's looking slim here. Big Money Esports. True Power comes out. Talus dove somebody, but no kills came through. Overpower is there. Kev Falcon gets the kill onto business, but it will not save NBK's life. He has died almost exclusively to falling off the map. Galaxy finally finds a big kill. This this Leon has been a little bit quiet for my money. Barrage comes through. Kev Falcon skirts the 3rd shell with a Rune of Travel. Overtime is ticking down in favor of Red. Lowkey Scheming are in control right now. Big Money Esports, though they are hanging in there, are definitely looking dire.
That's going to be a big kill on the Kev Falcon, being able to create a lot of space, not having to deal with that Talus or his damage right now. Leon,
King Bomb.
Really probably the big threat King Bomb's available. I don't even know if they need it, but they're going to go for it.
And just dunk it straight into Barrick's forehead. Lowkey Scheming do
Exactly
manage
the play you want to see.
to take it away, and another dead Barrick. Another another one for the cause.
Another one for the true cause.
Another one for the cause. Love it there. That was a very, very competitive game there on Frog Isle. Unlike what we've seen so far today, this set looks like it's going to brew up to be a pretty close one.
And being able to have that, I mean, it's really big for either of these teams to find themselves a win because they've been having such a rocky start to the first 4 weeks. Getting one here against the other team that's kind of down at the bottom with them will be the step in the right direction.
Well, that's enough from us. Let's get it back to the desk and get ready for Game 2.
And Gore, great job on the cast there to start off this set. And we actually got a game here. We got a game in this one. Lowkey Scheming and Big Money going toe-to-toe. 4-3 is the final score, which is one of the closer games we've seen here today.
Yeah, definitely.
And that was just so hard fought. I mean, both really sides having a DPS who's like really trying to hang in there. Galaxy on one side. It was almost in a weird way. It was like a war of attrition almost. It's like like massive plays.
Definitely.
But just, I mean, the difference maker, and we'll see the stats here. Hatsuchibi, I believe Undying, his slash line will come up in just a minute, but like a 31 streak on the Genos.
Yeah.
And when you have the buffs coming out in that sort of way, could be the difference maker.
Barely beat didn't even beat the Grover.
Right.
Still. And he never
0-30.
Never died. Which gives you an idea of what Grover was able to do for this team, but it also gives you an idea of how there was a serious issue that they just couldn't get the job done with Kev Falcon.
Right.
Despite the Talus having a lot of good moments, he had a pretty decent slash line.
He did.
he couldn't get to the Genos.
Right.
And there was just no way. They didn't have enough flank pressure. They didn't have the ability on Frog Isle to play the map the way it needs to be played, because if you have a support that never dies, that's not how Paladins should work. Everybody should die at some point in a contested game. And if you have a character that just never dies, ever, then you're probably going to lose. Because that's abnormal, right? So
just up too much. He's up too
much,
often.
especially if it's a
too
healer.
much of an impact. Right.
That's giving you healing and damage. So if they were able to deal with the Genos most efficiently and keep doing that, it could have been a completely different game. But that was a big wrench in the plan for them.
But I think both teams will probably be happy with the way they drafted in that game. I don't think either draft really was bad. I don't think either draft was, an otherworldly good draft. But both teams just with a solid lineup, and that really showed. I mean, it was a 4-3 game, really went the distance. It was kind of, the DPS was really Cop versus Galaxy. Both of them had pretty solid slash lines going into that one. So that was kind of the thing to watch.
I think there's, a level of, yes, nobody lost the draft, but did anyone really win it? And that's what happens when you, by default, are in a situation here where you're trying to have a team that has lost to this team before. Big Money Esports taking this already. And Lowkey's team trying to get ahead. You have to sometimes take a risk and sometimes try to put them off their game. The Talus wasn't enough consistently, and they kind of just settled for that. It wasn't a great pick for them. It worked, but Kev Falcon, he could play the BK. He could be successful on a lot of different champions. So it's almost like, you talk about this in life too. It's like, would you rather take a risk and maybe get the thing that you really want, or would you rather steadily die in mediocrity? You know what I mean? Slowly knowing this isn't what you want, but being kind of okay until at a certain point you're just like, okay, I'm done. I hate this. I'm never doing this again.
This is fine. Everything's fine.
This is fine. Exactly. So you have to take Lowkey's teaming have to scale the mountain, so to speak, because Big Money Esports are already in the driver's seat. So it's up to them to put the pressure on.
Definitely finding a win there on Frog Isle, but Big Money, certainly not the type of team to go down easily. I liked the Talus pick. One pick that maybe wouldn't be super surprised if it came out again was the Sky, because we've seen her make a huge impact in a couple of the games today. Talus being a little bit higher priority of a pick there for Big Money, fulfilling that same type of flankery type role. So maybe she'll make her way out here. The Genos and the Tyra, though, pretty standard now as far as things go with the team buffs coming out early.
And what I don't mind is, at least that Genos is clearly identified as an issue, that they're not going like, oh man, wow, what happened there, guys? It's like, well, okay, Genos went undying, obviously, and the ability to continue to grab that, which was a factor for their success. Keep on doing it. Big Money Esports, though, interesting how they approach this with the Tyra and the Khan. On Bright Marsh, both great champions, but they give up the Makoa. It's notable to see teams say, Makoa's not for us because he's just so powerful. And so, obviously, going with a different idea here, implementing the Ashe in this draft.
But the Khan Ashe, Makoa Barrack, those are four. Those are really the four frontliners. So
they really are.
Neither team necessarily pulling out ahead tank-wise. Both of them, they fulfill their roles. The Koga, though, not going to see him with the Torvald,
but Genos.
Going to see him with the Genos.
It's a good amount.
It is enough to make it hurt.
It's enough. It is
and
enough.
And they'll be on as well. So Lowkey scheming, looking to find themselves another high-powered offensive threat, and they have the front line of the Makoa Barrack. Zin going over to the other side of Big Money as well. I think both lineups are kind of built to do the same thing in a way. Would you, in the sense that you have some high burst damage, and you have some high priority front lines.
Yeah, I just think that really you could probably see Ashe contending slightly with Barrack for a while, but Barrack at this point has too many resets to where he's going to be a little bit more flexible on that point. But the Firebomb is going to help get him off a lot earlier.
Well, we're gonna have to see how it plays out here. Game number 2. On Bright Marsh. Your casters are Nick and Gore. Take it away.
Thank you, boys. A little bit of a risk here taking on the Koga, but I have to say I like it. Genos comes back in. Naturally, some more of these flanks are going to start getting looked at. Koga's, kind of been strong. We'll have to see if he sticks with this Adrenaline Junkie. This would be certainly a large stray from the norm.
Not only that, but being able to run it back maybe to what we kind of originally saw out of Koga. when it was paired up something with a Luminary Genos, if you don't have that extra health, it can be a little different, or the extra health you get from the shielding from Torvald can be a little different. But this is going to be a completely different style of Koga than you've seen these last few weeks.
So I guess we just refresh him, Gore. How does Adrenaline Junkie really work, and how's Ralkhion looking to play with this? I mean, he is the gyro control master.
Just look at those bars and look at every time he's hitting a shot, and that's really going to answer your question. Like, he is going to be able to move around like no other right now. And since Koga is very different, doesn't have the cooldowns, instead is used based on these, I guess, ability bars on the middle of his screen, the better he's doing, the worse it means for you. Is the easiest way to describe Adrenaline.
It is very performance-driven. So every time he does hit those shots, he's restoring some energy. Let's take a look at the loadout, because that has a big part in how this kind of synergizes. Every time he dashes, getting a little bit of that health back, a little bit of that ammo back. Every shot that he hits, getting more energy back, to dash more, to get more ammo, to heal more, to be hitting more. You know what I mean? It's that loop there that is kind of the core and the spirit and the soul of this, frankly, very fun and loadout that I definitely like.
And it, again, gives you, I want to say, more versatility. You can heal yourself, keep yourself alive. You're going to be able to keep your ammo going. And you just need Genos to look at you every now and then. He doesn't have to pay attention to you as much as a Torvald would if you were kind of going for, again, what we've seen as the standard the last couple of weeks.
Ooh, nice job juking out the big swings there from Zin. The student and the master going at it here. This is very anime duel, and he hits the spray mid-fight. Very
and the one-arm push-up afterward.
Done. Ralkhion knows that he's got this one wrapped up. Kev Falcon just got embarrassed on the battlefield.
That was clean. I don't think there's a better way to describe that. I mean, the entire point seemed very clean. Big Money Esports not quite able to find their way in. And I feel like they have no lack of pushing power, but kind of a lack of what we're seeing out of this Koga. Koga is everywhere. He's always coming around. He's looping behind members of Big Money Esports. Zin is the one who should be doing that on the other side, but he's kind of distracted having to deal with this Koga that no one's really able to get to, say, the Leon, to the Magoa, to any of the front lines to deal with anybody.
That poor Barrack just got abandoned there and pulled back in with the convergence. Ralkhion will survive, though. No real punishing follow-up there. Makoa is nearby. He's going to pop the Ancient Rage for survival. Bad shell spin, missed hook, tough stuff. Cyclone Strike is bad as well. Lowkey scheming with a terrible start to this team fight.
I mean, trying to do whatever they can, but 3 ults that have been used, just not really able to find anything out of it. I mean, a minute left, so he's still got plenty of time, but that minute's going to be spent recharging 3 ults instead of being able to find that push.
That was scuffed. That is the perfect
that is the definition
scenario for that word. That was such a scuffed team fight from Lowkey scheming. I'll be surprised if they pull it out. Cop finds the first one. Ralkhion finds the second without ultimates. Lowkey scheming are looking better. Ralkhion climbs to the high ground, trying to find continued pressure here, and finds a nice little nook to hide in. Nobody putting pressure on him at the moment. I'd like to see him kind of go at somebody. Poor little Barrack got pulled into spawn, and Ash really kind of stabilized that fight all on her own from the front side. Assert dominance is just that good.
And it's this awkward area where Ralkhion's in this fun position, but he's not really able to press any issues the way he would want. He can't get as aggressive onto like the Saris, because the minute he does, he's going to have 3 or more people looking at him. And with Roman Rulers playing as aggressively as he is, he's just kind of gatekeeping at this point. Like, no one's going to get past him. Definitely not mounted, let alone with full health. So he's just making sure to hold everyone back whenever he can.
Shield comes out. Little Venn diagram happening between the barricade and the siege shield at the moment. 3, 2, 1 goes the clock. Overtime will start. Ash gets out, survives. Barrack extremely low, marked up. A lot of damage coming his way. He's trying to dance his way around this tree, staying alive for now. Crossfire from the top ropes will keep pressure on everyone from Lowkey scheming. No kills just yet, but Lowkey scheming are struggling to make their way in.
I mean, Big Money finding some really big kills early on. They get rid of one front line, they get rid of the other front line, and that's going to make it a lot easier to just burn through anybody else who might try to stand on this objective.
And one front line and then the other. Little Christmas Makoa
the old 1-2.
The old 1-2 punch there. That'll do it, Pig. Ralkhion hitting him with a curveball, if you will. Koga's not picked up super often anymore, really whatsoever. If Torvald makes it through, then he is kind of one of those top choices for it. But at this point, not only is Koga no longer a staple on console, at this point, Adrenaline Junkie coming out over the Dragon Fangs is another kind of way to spin it, I guess. Ralkion is really kind of making Big Money Esports uncomfortable with this not only niche pick, but niche talent choice as well.
And it dances this fine line where you could still theoretically use your claws and have them be decently effective, but nowhere near as effective as, again, his cooldown rotation right now, right? Not having to deal with any actual timers on his cooldowns and having it all be based on these bars makes it so much easier for him to dash into a fight, get as aggressive as he wants, recharge almost all 3, and then continue to fight.
Well, 42% early for Blue as pressure is kept up. Body blocked nicely. Ralkion completely ignores the Ash. I don't know if he meant to do that or not, but that's the way it worked out. Dashing around and keeping the energy nice and high, 80% and climbing there. No real contest from Big Money Esports on the objective. A lot of ultimates used at the end of the round prior, so that's why we get, I feel like, a fairly vanilla team fight there at the start. Nobody really had a lot that they wanted to go into.
Also, it's really important in my eyes to point out that Lowkey scheming were in that awkward position. Like, I think Big Money Esports get that defense point only because they whiffed so many ults, like because it was just such a scuffed fight that there was literally no way for them to, I think, come back into that and regain control. They could fight well, but it wouldn't do a lot. And even right now, you have an ult come down from Koga and not finding any crazy kills, not getting a lot of damage. And when you see Khan's health bar go all the way back up, it kind of feels like it was all for naught.
Definitely got in there and then got out of there. That's one of the fun things about that Koga build. If you're hitting with good accuracy, you're going to stay very high energy. You're going to be able to dash a lot, sustain yourself a lot. 139 on the clock now. A couple people falling lower and lower, but not for long if Saris is on the case.
Especially grouped up as you are on Brightmarsh. That's one of the things. Void Abides getting baked into that kit. We mentioned it a lot kind of at the beginning of it, but healing multiple people for Saris if you haven't healed as Saris in a while, it's going to help, but you have to be alive to do it. And unfortunately, I don't know what the plan is.
Where was Kev Falcon going?
I don't know what anyone was doing.
He was so low. He billowed into the backline at like 500 HP. I'm just confused. It felt so deliberate, like he had an idea, and I'm just not seeing it.
I don't know. I was gonna say maybe you go for an ult, maybe you're getting back there to do some damage. It was sloppy. He ends up losing his life for it, and it's not going to create a lot. Crossfire comes out, but not finding any kills. And now this time around, you do have someone in the backline causing a lot more trouble.
Another assert dominance will be spent here to hold the defense. But with Makoa, you could potentially just void grip and hook her out of that. Not have to wait the full 8-second duration, but out on the minds of Lowkey scheming. Kev Falcon does take down Ralkion. Nice hook from downtown there. As Business just looks to rotate out, will not pop his ultimate here. They got Crossfire, they got Overpower, they got Convergence, they got Assert Dominance. Lowkey scheming. Just need to get their feet under them sometime in the next 15 seconds and move on to this payload for the overtime push.
Now they're trying to figure out whatever they can. 10 seconds left. No Dome Shield. They have an Ancient Rage, and they have Through Time and Space. Either of those can create a lot of space for you, but you're going to have to get aggressive with it. They're dancing around. This should give overtime for the Barrack. Doesn't need to get as aggressive as he does, but they are going to be able to confirm themselves that. It's going to be up to this Koga. Can he find the kill? Because Business is gone.
Cyclone Strike comes out on the objective, doing decent damage to one of the front lines, and now this Khan can only look one direction if he wants to stay safe. Ralkion continues to dash around, goes for the full reload here, not as a result of the dashes. Will he be able to get it done here? Can't choose a target, running out of energy, running out of time, needs to find a kill soon, but he won't. Kev Falcon stays healthy and drives it home.
As long as he has energy, he can keep going. I feel like that's a metaphor for life. Unfortunately for him, not able to come through. Makoa's back, has the Ancient Rage still, and he's going to pop it this time around, looking for the kill to try and find this push.
That's a big risk there. Time and Space almost connects onto two, but ends up hitting hot nothing. And Saris is just keeping everyone very, very healthy. Lowkey scheming have spent so much for this push, for a push that really hasn't presented much to them. I think it would have been wise to cut your losses there. Hindsight's obviously 20/20, but they didn't even get that initial pick. It's so risky to pop an ult like an Ancient Rage to try and get that initial frag versus getting that initial frag and popping Ancient Rage to keep your foot on the throat and kind of drive that one home. Now they're stuck without some big key ultimates that have otherwise made their point fights a lot easier.
And unfortunately for them, because of the time Big Money Esports popped their ults, they've charged them back up. Like, they're coming into this with an overpower almost fully charged. They have the assert dominance back. Spite's been there, I think, the entire round, because there's not many opportunities you get to use a Spite and have it feel successful on a defense like that, especially when you see how grouped up Lowkey Scheming are. But having these ults is going to be able to get rid of at least one target, keep Ash alive, maybe a second target on top of it, depending on how that Spite does. So Big Money Esports are at the advantage coming into this. The question is if they can utilize it the proper way.
Caught threes online across the board. No Ancient Rage this time. Stunned out. Assert dominance. Will help Kevfalcon secure that kill. Ralkyon finds Galaxy in the backline. Barrick has been dutifully capturing away 45%. But now pressure is starting to mount on him. He has to make a decision in or out. And he rocket boots away. But Xin definitely in range to continue to follow up here. Will not connect with enough damage to take down Mr. Ralkyon there. Narrowly bailed out. But Kevfalcon does not look done yet.
Both going to be able to escape, but not quite find the kills they were looking for. A nice dash through the Spite. You can't hit this. And he's going to be able to live to see another day. And that might honestly hurt Kevfalcon more than it helps the team. Does get away with his life, though, which I think is going to be the big eye-opener for them. They lose Roman Rulers in the process.
Dashing around. Full damage onto that Khan, who is also under a dome shield, taking damage from the flame turret as well. Ralkyon has played this very, very nicely. The Gyro Master himself showing the Master Xin that he's learned a couple of new tricks here. 76 HP. It's enough to bail him out for the time being. He'll get juiced back to full HP, but again, it is low-key scheming here. And one thing that was, again, a little questionable with the last round offense was that you're going so hard for it when it's not going to win you the game. This is the round where you go hard for it because it is going to end the game, and there isn't anything Big Money Esports can do to stop it.
Well, if Koga can keep up this kind of pressure, I don't have any doubts in my mind that ult's going to charge
caught,
up
man.
incredibly fast. And this, items coming online has made such a huge difference. Saris and Maldamba, I will say, are probably the two supports, at least, that I personally feel it the most on. But when Cauterize comes online, and those numbers stop hitting the way you think they do, you have one Rejuvenate on the side of Big Money Esports. Only Ash can really withstand the damage that's coming down from Lowkey Scheming. And it's the worst feeling, especially for someone like Geppetto.
As soon as the front lines come down, Ralkyon goes up, but doesn't exactly like that engagement there. Kevfalcon nicely timed as he comes out of Shadow Step. Makoa got exploded there. No ultimates used just yet for Big Money Esports, but they've certainly got him. Just waiting to smoke him at this point.
Kind of dancing around the minute-and-a-half mark. And it's just such an awkward time to try and get aggressive, or not, right? When you have to figure out, like you were saying during the last round, you need that initial pick. But there's not anyone that's truly easy to pick off. You have to be able to get Koga in the right position. You might want to charge up the rest of the 16% of his ult that is necessary here, and then get aggressive. But there's going to be the through time and space, not going to find any kills, though, so really just going to create a little bit of space to come back into the payload.
There it is, Void Grip during the shoulder charge. It's going to be a 1-for-1 exchange. Front line for front line off the rip. Cyclone Strike is going to get some good damage out, but NBK takes out Ralkyon before he can dash away and become a nuisance for his squad yet again. 38 on the clock. Chance for another attempt here, but Ancient Rage was used. Cyclone Strike used. Lowkey Scheming. They're using such big, powerful resources and time after time just not getting anything for it.
And it feels like they're almost too quick to pull the trigger on it. Like that was if you get that first pick and hit those ults, then it's going to make a big difference for you. But Khan has been healing it off like it's nobody's business. That time NBK finally goes down, but it's taken so long to just eat through his health bar that is it really going to be worthwhile?
Out of combat healing doing a lot for Makoa. Now the gears are starting to turn. Makoa should have if he wasn't dead. Back off and just hook this assert dominance out of usefulness. Roman Rulers has stabilized the defense with this ultimate every single round so far. And it's good that they at least get it out. Ancient Rage is getting a little bit closer to coming back to halfway charged. But the overtime will end. Only a couple ultimates online for Lowkey Scheming. Granted, again, Big Money Esports was forced to use a couple just to stay alive in this game.
The good news for Lowkey Scheming coming out of this is really that they've captured 3 points in a row. So not only do they have that track record going for them, but the economy has shifted incredibly in their favor because of us. 300 points or 300 credits every single time they capture a point. And so that gives you either a tier 3 upgrade if you're looking at that, or a tier 1 and a tier 2, like a record 2, a and then a cauterized one, whatever you want to mix and mash with. And that's why you're seeing like the items seem so heavily. I mean, look at Galaxy. He has Wrecker 2, Cot 2, whereas Ralkion and Cop have both finished those items and then gone on to buy more.
Big Money Esports have gotten lucky, I think. Lowkey Scheming have a good composition to counter out this Ash ult, but they're just not executing on it. Void Grip it as it's coming down the first time. And as it's Void Grip, Makoa just start backpedaling away from it. She's going to try it again. She's going to get it off. At that point, you just land the hook and pull her out of it. But it's just been too valuable on the defense. One ultimate stopping what has otherwise been surefire pushes in almost every single round. Big ultimates starting to come online for Big Money Esports. This could be big money problems if Lowkey Scheming are not careful. Overpower is available. Who is going to be the recipient?
I think NBK got shredded a lot faster than he thought he was going to. Ralkion does a lot of damage that you might not notice. Crossfire going to get popped trying to burn through this Makoa. So if they get rid of him, they can own this point a little bit better. But that's going to be two healthier targets. But the Dome Shield is so clutch at saving him. But Hatsuchibi's still going to get taken down.
Really, really good Dome Shield there. Manages to at least save the life of Barrack, who then goes on to be a factor in this fight. Back almost to full HP. Tyra dueling out here. Ralkion trying to get his way in there because he's almost ready on Cyclone Strike. Gormizer, the Ancient Rage, is primed and ready to go. And Ralkion has found his way to the healer and forced out a Shadow Travel. No sustain can happen while the Shadow Travel is happening as well. Ralkion has found the door, kicked it open, and it looks like he will reap the rewards.
I mean, no sustain can happen because did we mention the Cauterize that's still coming through? It's still impacting this fight so heavily. Not worried about finding the healer until it's not even too late. They get rid of the Saris right after focusing down the Tyra. Kev Falcon kind of left alone on the point. Yeah, NBK is going to touch, but is it going to make the big difference?
One by one, they all fall down. Lowkey Scheming, 4-point fights. 4 payloads captured. That it's not the cleanest way to do it, but it is certainly the most stable way to do it. They get it done every single time without fail. Congratulations. They're going to go up 2-0 and are primed to take this set. Let's get it back to the desk and keep on rolling.
Thank you very much, guys. Bright Marsh is in the books, and Lowkey Scheming find themselves up 2-0 in a big way in this set, Evan. And the storyline to watch in that one, I think, was a lot of Ralkion. Galaxy Cop, you know, really made his presence felt from time to time, but that Koga was tough to deal with.
And it was not the style of Koga that we're usually seeing, so that was really cool. I'd be very excited to see the stats for how well he did damage-wise, because there was so much pressure he was applying, and 126,000 damage. This is more of that adrenaline junkie style Koga, which was so successful in the earlier stages of Koga before the claws got this ridiculous buff that just put him into the stratosphere as far as damage. And the ability for him to bring that back out, and I'm sure surprise people in a similar way. Not that claws were unexpected, but to say, Koga doesn't work here. They don't have the Torvald. That's how you do the claws. You know, they have the Genos, but it won't be that bad. But then to go Adrenaline Junkie, that's another thing that just made everything he was doing so much successful.
Right. And you have to look at Cop as well. I mean, we talked about Ralkion. He had the flashy plays. His Cauterize was shredding every member of Big Money Esports, excuse me. But Cop on the Leon, huge slash line there. She was like 12-4 or something like that. She just couldn't be stopped. There was just so much pressure coming out.
Exactly, and that's what we're talking about. Cop, I love you, but on the Victor, on the Leon, no one's looking at you right now. Everyone's looking at Ralkion. You have to solve this problem. It's like a virus, you know. You need to stop it. Otherwise, who cares if, you know, you stub your toe? You know what I mean? Who cares at the end of the day? You got to stop this other thing. And so Leon is just cleaning a lot of stuff up, but what Ralkion did that was so impressive was he took these fights onto Kev Falcon. And Kev Falcon's the one who's built in this lineup to do the exact same thing Ralkion's doing. And Ralkion challenging him, saying, no, I'm not going to let you distract your back line. I'm not only going to distract everyone on your team, I'm going to take you out so that now you can't do what you want to do against my team. And that further frees them up. It further handicaps the lineup that Big Money Esports had. Now Lowkey Scheming, they're looking like they're in charge of the set by a mile.
And again, another 4-3. So, I mean, in a way it's close, but it really
in a way it's not.
In a way it's not. Right, exactly. Lowkey Scheming was kind of in the driver's seat that whole time. The defense coming up in favor of Big Money, but Lowkey Scheming finding the point presence there, making the Genos Koga work.
Really.
Map 3 is going to be Splitstone Quarry. I'm interested to see if the Genos keeps going the way of Lowkey Scheming, because up to this point it's almost seemed like Big Money's been okay with trading away the Genos and taking the Tyra.
They've been fine with it,
on their side. And that was just, I mean, that was tough to deal with. It was just too much to deal with. Not necessarily that Genos was like the big difference maker, but when you put him onto that Koga,
yeah,
that's hard to deal with.
And there it is. There's the ban. That's what I was expecting.
Right.
And I think Lowkey scheming, we're trying to hope that doesn't happen by banning the Talus early. Then they're going to ban the Vivian, so they're going to say, okay, you're going to get your first pick, but we're going to get 2 deadly picks after this. You've got Makoa, you've got Khan, you've got Barrack, you've got Ashe, you've got your pick of front lines, you've got your pick of damage dealers. You could take the Tyro away if you want. You can take your Bomb King as well. That's something Kev Falcon, like I said, has played before. It's something Lowkey scheming can utilize. Raukion showed that he likes it. He's got a little bit of a propensity for it. So we'll see what they go for. It's the Makoa. And then maybe the Tyra here. I think if that's something that BME are pretty comfortable with, you can grab that now, and you can kind of augment for a lot of damage. So they just go straight healer. They want to win in that route, and I don't mind it.
I don't either. I think it's a really good stack. I mean, the Makoa, Grover, they're going to be fighting around each other a lot anyway.
Yeah.
So a really great healer, I think, into this lineup. The Khan is going to go off to the side of Big Money Esports, so they're not going to give that 1-2 punch back over to Lowkey scheming this time. The Inara as well. So some really good frontliners coming out on the side of Big Money. Lowkey haven't really shown a lot of their hand as far as what damagey route they want to go. Looks like the Grok is going to start to fill that role. We've seen DPS Grok, arguably better than solo healer Grok anyway. You do have the Grover. Barrack is going to be their second tank.
Yeah.
So still have a little DPS to play with.
I actually like it against the Inara quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, even the Khan as well. He can move, but he's a big target for this Grok to be able to bounce those shock pulses off of, and the Inara is very easy. Really, the thing that's giving them some range right now is the Leon and the Victor. And I don't know how he's going to play that. The grenades are a big aspect to it because there are a lot of cubbies and places that you can't get to, but the AoE of a grenade will actually help you to splash, keep someone in contest, keep them from that out-of-combat healing, keep cauterized, still feeling like they're punishing. Even though it won't be applying, you still get them in damage still, so they're not getting every bit of health that they could be. The Tyro coming in at the very end, I like Lowkey scheming's lineup, not only because Grover's better with his axes on the scaling distance of Splitstone Quarry, but because they can control cubbies better, and they're not bad at controlling range. I think they're going to be able to win these close point fights a lot easier than Big Money Esports.
Well, Evan likes the side of Lowkey scheming. Big Money certainly have a lineup not to be trifled with either. Game 3 is about to get underway. We're going to Splitstone Quarry, and we're sending it down to your casters to take it away.
It's time to split some stones, brother.
In a quarry, even. Deep down.
Might be the best place to split a stone.
Yeah. I can't think of many other places that I would put on that list.
You might even say.
I don't know how to reply to that. I'll be honest.
Just trying to push some new boundaries here. I gotta say, I do like this Tyro last pick, though. I think this is the perfect cherry on top to actually give the potential damage amp to this Grok, who can then, kind of take over the game. Barrack's damage is going to be a little bit more to be reckoned with. Makoa's damage is going to be a little bit more to be reckoned with. I like the team-wide source of damage amp on a comp that is going to stay alive for a long time, but wouldn't otherwise have the damage to necessarily scare off this Big Money Esports comp.
And the thing I love so much more, I think, about Tyra having the Hunter's Mark instead of having to go for a Luminary Genos is just that it's not taking away healing from maybe a frontline to give to your DPS to have that damage. It's just, hey, shoot that guy coming down from your Tyra. And so anybody can have that effect. If everyone's not looking at them, it's not the end of the world. If you don't utilize that mark, it's not the end of the world because it doesn't really cost anything else.
That's a lot of damage coming out right now. Back-to-back presences. And the way that loadout card works, the more people you hit, they're all giving you that 7.5 second cooldown. So if you're hitting 2 people, you are getting a full reset, and you can go right back to it. That counts for Yin clones. That counts for all kinds of fun little combinations to work with. Izzy Mitchell finds in BK, and Ara's down on the objective. That's where she needs to be. That's where she's most effective. Barrage coming out early, 1 minute 58 on the clock, and the shells are flying.
And just being able to find this again, Lowkey scheming are doing something that Big Money Esports weren't doing earlier, and that's just, they're not really fighting on the objective. They're trying to fight so hard in this cubby, and they're just giving up this room. No one can stand on the point because it's just too much damage coming down to stop them or keep them from going.
The Grok ult comes out as well. Raukion goes for the solo kill in the backline. He's going to get it as well. And now there's a whirlwind on top of it. There's so much sustain to keep this crossfire up and healthy. And Nara might not be the best target. I think, look at these backliners a little bit here. Cut off the problem at its source. Inara is just so tanky, and Big Money Esports are going to steal it away because Inara just would not leave the ring.
And you have just that small moment. Inara is so close to dead. The firebomb
That's rough.
bounces against the wall in front of you, and then your barrack dies. And it's just like everything that culminated at the very end there was leading to big money eventually getting that point. Whether or not it happened immediately like it did, or if it took a little longer, I just don't know if Lowkey Scheming had what it takes to continue that kind of pressure, that kind of push. No one willing to stand on the point. Neither of the front lines really putting themselves out there other than the barrack, and I'm pretty sure he died for it every single time.
There it is. Ancient Rage comes ripping and rolling right out of the high ground. Is he going to find some kills, though? That's the question. Nice hook on Aceres to try and keep her on the field a little bit longer. Everybody's low. Everyone's pushed back. We'll actually get a kill for it. Shell spinning aggressively now as Business knows he's got the advantage. Khan's going to have to backpedal out of this one. Out of shield HP as well. Commander's grab just to try and continue to make space. Lowkey Scheming on the back foot for the first time in a long time, and they have to kind of get used to that feeling here. They are doing a good job at holding at this corner, though. It's a pretty important choke on Splitstone.
But they have exactly what they need if they need to break down this choke, being able to break through. Leon specifically, but between Leon and Victor, the damage numbers are all there. That barrage that came out earlier has already recharged and can come out. In fact, actually does get popped, but maybe canceled out early, goes down to the 60% mark, doesn't find any damage as they're still just looking to try and break the corner.
On his way back now, Galaxy. All right, getting a lot of damage out. Both Leon and Victor can punish this clumping very heavily, especially if presence starts to hit more than one person. We saw what that did to that first team fight. Nara hooked up to the high ground here. Shock pulses ringing through, keeping everyone in combat, keeping the pressure on. And not only one, but two of these support ultimates, the Whirlwind and the Tempest. I feel like that's really nice to have leverage to actually keep a team fight going. They can kind of almost accomplish the same goal. And again, a little bit more hybrid is Grok, so his ultimate, of course, is a little bit more hybrid as well.
Yeah, does a little bit of healing, but a lot of movement speed as well as some damage onto the other side, whereas Whirlwind is going to give you just that nice chunk of healing coming through. And either way, it's a good panic button, I think, for your team to have, to be able to say, look, we need the reset, we need something to give us this health. Unfortunately, you don't want to use it as of now. I mean, Whirlwind's not available, you're not going to pop Tempest right now, but Inara has just been bleeding heavily and actually gets full health one more time. I forgot it was Inara.
Yeah, if one of these shock pulses hit, though, there's a couple of low targets in the back line. That could be in some trouble now. Ralkion's got to start connecting the pulses, though. That's what puts the spread pressure out. Keeps everybody on their toes here. Now he can push into the back line, do his thing, and it's so fun to watch a good console Grok get rolling here, especially with the tracking of the Gyro Master himself. We are certainly in for a treat. And I think, who was that guy? Was that Prosper? Somebody had like an incredible Grok performance on Splitstone. I think it was Prosper.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was Prosper.
Yeah. Grok really can take over a game if you let him snowball pretty heavily. I do believe Ralkion is building in a morale boost as well, which is a big part of that equation.
And that's going to, I want to say maybe slow start it. Like, he's going to have way more ults. But once he starts getting, I presume, a red item online, probably a Cauterize after this, it's going to enhance everything that he's been doing that entire round. It's just, yeah, the zoom and enhance is going to happen for him. He's going to be able to pop the ult and come in and steal your car and do whatever he needs because he's going to have all the power.
Well, the one thing that you do get by controlling this little cubby, oh my goodness, Grover actually keeps everyone alive through there. That's crazy. Now it's time to hit the gas pedal and go. Green light here from Ralkion. He's trying to get his boys into a space where they can follow up on somebody. Inara's low, but get taken down eventually. There's a convergence that pulls in 3. Follow-up is good for 1 kill as well.
Unfortunately, though, it's only going to be onto the barrack. He's going to be able to respawn in plenty of time to come back. Makoa's still dancing around versus the Khan, but it's still 42-6. I mean, it feels like Lowkey Scheming just don't even recognize that they need to fight on the objective. That's going to be an overpower. That's going to be a dead Makoa.
It certainly is. And capturing all the while, MBK with a very high-value rotation there, captures the objective, hits the overpower, and gets the kill. So the 1-2 punch looking very clean for Mr. Khan here. Ralkion extremely low, getting a little bit of healing. I don't think it's going to be enough. Big money. Esports go back-to-back on the objective, and the momentum is certainly there for Kev Falcon as well.
It just feels to me like Lowkey Scheming. Like, I recognize that it is very difficult, especially under the pressure they have. You have 3 big hit scan presences on their side between Leon and Victor, namely, but also Khan. that it's just so difficult to stand on the objective with how wide open it is and feel comfortable, confident, and safe. But I mean, they're just giving up 50 to 60 to 70 to 80% almost every single time without touching the objective.
Part of it's having an Araceris, right? That allows you to kind of be pretty forehead and just kind of do what you want for at least the early rounds when Cauterize isn't as big of a problem for you. Also, I do believe this Victor performance is having a good bit to do with it. I think he's really, really helping to just punish this AoE clumping stack. Leon, every time she's hitting a couple people with the presences, it's just doing so much. Galaxy and Kev Falcon are certainly a big portion of why Lowkey scheming feels so corralled, I think, on Splitstone Quarry.
I'm going to throw Makoa under the bus because that should have been a dead Inara.
Yeah, it should have.
And the hook missed, and then the follow-up shot missed, and then she just walked away. She put up her damage reduction and decided that she just did not need any of that negativity in her life anymore. Kept on moving, and now she's perfectly fine. She's going to be able to come through.
It's just not worth the cooldown. That's a one quick shot and you get the kill, right?
Yeah, and it's just, it seems so, I don't even know. It's just such a big mistake to make when you use these Ancient Rages the way they have been. And this kind of goes back to last game. You had that Ancient Rage, and almost every time it was used, it never really accomplished too much. It just felt like Big Money couldn't respond to it as easily, or they responded to it almost every single time, I should say. And so it isn't making the impact that a big ult like Ancient Rage should.
Shout out to Roman Rules there in that last fight as well. He definitely committed there and made sure he got as much damage out as possible, walked people down in uncomfortable spots, and then allowed for a huge follow-up. The convergence into a lot of team shooting. Made a very easy team fight there for Lowkey Scheming, who looked to be in control of Splitstone, or Big Money Esports, excuse me, who looked to be in control here of Splitstone Quarry. Shock Pulse misses again. Alkion not exactly having the hyper carry type of performances he has had on the maps past.
Inara's just getting burned down. This is what I want to see. This is where I need to see this Grok kind of have this effect. Ghostwall going to be able to just kind of immune through that damage. The grenade's still going to be good, but Inara, and that's the big issue. You have to kill her when you can. You can't give her those moments to just fall back and heal up, because otherwise you have to do it all again.
Just got to survive. Dome Shield's going to try and elected to do that, but a Victor with no pressure on him, that's really what is causing the source of these struggles. Damage amp Crossfire is barely enough to take that Inara down. And without capturing any of these payloads, Big Money Esports are going to be a little bit behind on these credit marks. They won't be able to get Cauterize online as early, as desperately as they need it. The money just ain't there. The money ain't coming in.
3, 6, and 12 right now. Ralkion, and again, this kind of goes back to earlier. Like earlier, he was having impressive kills because even though Bomb King as a whole wasn't really making a huge splash, he was still getting those Poppy Bomb kills that were very impactful because it was almost always onto a Makoa.
Yeah, a lot
this
of
time,
them.
There's a lot of damage, but it kind of feels like it's almost all, again, like I used this earlier, but all for naught. Like it feels like he's dumping damage into an Inara, and she just walks away anyway.
Well, Cauterize 3 online for Cop now. If he can make sure that stays applied, that's a good boon. But 4 Cauterize 3s for Big Money Esports, so anyone shoots anyone. And they are going to be no sustained targets for the time being. Business and the boys of Tempest just straight to the back line. This is how you do it. They have won this fight from the exact same spot both rounds prior. You have the most gas pedal composition I think I have ever seen. Crossfire, Whirlwind, Tempest, Ancient Rage. I mean, you can run down anyone like a dog in the street. Start doing it.
And I mean, now Ancient Rage available, but aggressively available. Not, oh, I'm going to try to use this once you have the point or once you have a payload coming. I can use this to stop you from touching that point, and we could potentially capture it. This time around, they're the ones in the lead of the objective. They changed everything that's been going wrong the last 2 rounds,
nice shield.
And it's working really well.
Nice shield. There it is. Enlightenment comes out. Doesn't get the kill on a Ralkion either. Ancient Rage aggressively available, as Gormizer so aptly put it. Cancels it just to get back to the cannon shots and start doing work, but I think Inara snuck onto the objective there because Big Money are at 78%.
And they've now tied it up and taken over. And again, it's just, why did you stop? I saw the aggression. I saw the flank. Big Money managed to make it through Lowkey scheming
Kill
zone
Victor.
without
Stop
using
shooting
too much.
these front lines.
And they're trying to get rid of him. They at least get rid of MBK, but the damage is being done by Galaxy.
He's your problem. These frontliners can stand there as long as they want, but it's Victor that's ripping you to pieces and you're within hook range. do that first, 99%, but the flip-flop looks like it will come through here, and Lowkey scheming finally get on the offense here, and we've seen this a lot. It's almost like a, I wouldn't call it a phenomenon, but when you lose a point, and then you finally capture it and have the first chance to go on the offense, and you end up with that 4-2 victory despite, you know, being kind of on the back foot the majority of the game. It's up to Big Money Esports to prevent that now and to say we can shift gears fast enough and figure out how we want to play our defense.
I feel like business has two modes right now. It feels like there's, you know, hold forward on your left stick, just run at them and do whatever you can. And then there's kind of be vacantly gone, almost. It just feels like he's either in the, maybe sometimes even too far positioning in the face of Big Money Esports, or he's not having the impact you need, because you get moments like this where it's like the cannonball isn't connecting, long-range shots really aren't Makoa's forte. They can still do a lot of damage, you can still hit him, but it's not exactly what he is known for. And so I want to see maybe just a little bit more coming out of him. I mean, part of the reason the beginning of this round worked so well was because of the kills that he was able to help get by getting so aggressive.
Crossfire available here. The temp is fueling this push, and Lightman comes out yet again, but it keeps hitting Makoa. And Makoa is more than happy to just stomach that 1,600 damage, especially while shell shielding on top of a healing totem from his Grok. Great stuff there. Roman Rules will die. This corner has now been broken, and 1 minute and 10 seconds to get this payload all the way home, which is frankly only one more choke point. Most Paladins maps comprised of 2 real choke points on the payload push.
And this map probably has more obvious ones just because it is going to be those corners that come through. And right now, Victor is still sitting probably the perfect position for this. You can peek over into that left cubby hole and deal all the damage. You also see right down onto the payload. And with how much damage Galaxy has been doing this game, it's kind of surprising to see that he's the one defending. I mean, 140, he's still 20,000 ahead of the next person, and that's his Leon.
There it is, 33 on the clock. Shots landing away. Nice little cubby for this Grok to just tuck into. Convergence is going to be ghost walked, I believe. That's the only way Grok wouldn't have gotten pulled in there. 23 seconds on the clock. Izzy finds one onto Inara. Last one alive here. Kev Falcon will fall. Khan looks like the last man standing at this point, unless Victor wants to hop on here, and he would have been killed mid-air. Lowkey scheming. Managed to flip the table and do that that 4-2 thing. I don't have a name for it, but what I was saying.
The 4-2 switch.
Yeah, this the old 4-2-aroo, as we're going to call it from now on.
Well, absolutely make sure to remember that sometime in the next week when that comes up again.
Alrighty, the old 4-2-aroo, guys. That
up there
is,
with the beam me up Scotties.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
The
I don't think that one didn't have the sticking power that I hoped it would have, but you know, we do our best here. Congratulations to Lowkey scheming. They are going to go ahead and grab this one. Let's get it back to the desk and keep it going.
Thank you very much, guys. Lowkey scheming, finding their first win here in the console league. So as Nick said, congratulations to them. That was a fun one to watch. They were firing on all cylinders, and they just rolled right on through.
The 4-2-aroo.
The 4-2 Electric Boogaloo.
Electric Boogaloo. They rolled right on through, and that's how they done do. That's how they done do.
They done did it.
They done did it. Lowkey scheming. Good stuff to get that win,
definitely.
and take the pain away from losing earlier on, being the only team that didn't have a win in this section of the world. But now they do, and that's a really good opportunity for them to continue improving, see where they can build off of this moment, and that's really all that they've got right now.
I mean, they're a grindy type team.
Yeah, trying to keep it moving.
They try to keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
They did it today.
Yeah.
That's what you really have to hold on to. You have to look back and say, all right, this worked for us today.
Yeah.
This is why it worked for us today. This is what hopefully will continue to work in the future. Obviously, they have a pretty tough couple teams in their division as well that they have to go through. But again, looking at what worked for you today, and what I think worked for them today, where they had some interesting drafts in the sense that it's not like they went off script too far.
Right.
But we're starting to see the meta change. They were right there with some of those changes, and they put guys like Kopp and Lowkey on champions that they would be comfortable with, and they had enough of an impact to take the win here.
And I think Lowkey is probably the guy, Blue was talking about, who's, a player of the week, so to speak, in this region, because he definitely had some high-flying moments. And I think if the BK didn't sell you earlier on, if the Koga didn't sell you in Game 2, which I think it probably did, the Grok was phenomenal as well. I mean, it's just doing what it needed to do.
7 and 24.
And a ton of assists, a ton of pressure. Obviously, Business able to capitalize off of a lot of that. And you know, they just didn't feel safe.
Right.
And I think that was one of the best things about, you know, this lineup. They had a lot of pressure, and that's been the theme for today.
And again, business as well. I mean, you have to look at it from a top-to-bottom perspective. I know we talked about, all right, yeah, Cop had like a great slash line, I think, in the Bright Marsh game.
Yeah.
And he did. And it takes a great player to be able to capitalize, but you have to look at the rest of, I mean, everyone did their job today, and I think that's where, to 3-0 any team, everyone needs to be doing their job, everyone needs to be firing on all cylinders. In that game, Business making a huge impact on the Makoa, making his presence felt as well, and that opens up space for, you know, your DPS, your frontliners, your backliners, everyone else kind of benefits from one guy making a big impact. Just depends who steps up on any given day.
Any given Monday.
Any given Monday.
That could be a movie.
It should be a movie. It should be a quote.
We came
up with that.
If you liked Any Given Sunday, check out the console version, Any Given Monday.
Hey, but take a look. Offline, Heating Up did beat Invictus, so kind of the storyline that we've been watching was whether or not Heating Up would be able to unseat Invictus, and they do it in a big way, a 3-0.
It seemed like that was coming, though.
In favor of Heating Up. I think so. That's been kind of the 1 versus 2 that we've had our eyes on.
Yeah.
Invictus had the better of it early on. They 3-0'd Heating Up week 1.
Yeah.
But you got to look at that. That's interesting. So a little bit of a mix-up there at the top. Not something we've really seen in either of the other 3 regions. Heating Up able to unseat Invictus, which will make for an interesting storyline moving forward, I think.
It certainly shall. You know, there's a sea of console teams right now, and it's a rare feat for all of you Paladins fans, because we were just mentioning this. There are only 8 Paladins Pro teams, you know, only 8 PML teams, but there's 16 console teams, you know, and so your Mondays could be flip-floppity and do-hoppity. But that is the storyline to pay attention to in this region for sure. We still got one more game coming up.
We do. That is going to do it for this set, though. But the next game that we have coming up is Cats on Mars versus Eastorm. So some funny team names, but both teams looking to find themselves some success here in the Paladins Console League. That's coming up right after this break, so stick around.
Console League, brought to you by Skillshot, Hi-Rez, Evil Mojo, iNap, SteelSeries, and Respawn.